What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about chain of responsibility. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So the Gang of Four defines it as avoid coupling the sender of a request to its receiver by giving more than one object a chain to handle the request. Chain the receiving objects and pass the request along the chain until an object handles it. So what they mean is, imagine you're trying to get a sandwich, okay? Everything that you do is a handler. So the bread type, the cheese, the meats, the veggies, those are all handlers. So you pass this request, you yourself already have a list. This list is a request, okay? So you pass this request off to the handlers, and it sees that you want bread. All right, it goes find the bread that you want, and then comes back and say, here's the bread. And it passes it on to the next handler. The next handler is the cheese. You don't want any cheese, so it doesn't even try to look. Even if it didn't have your favorite cheese, like say you wanted your favorite cheese is cheddar or pepper jack, it doesn't matter. Even if it did not have any, it's not going to look for it. It's literally going to just pass it along without even looking for the cheese. Okay? So I'm going to explain it a little bit more. So it passes it on to meat. You want meat, it gets meat. You want veggies, it gets veggies, and then moves on. But it has to look for the meat first, right? And then come back and say that, hey, we do have meat, so here's the meat. Or if we don't have meat, we don't have meat. And it gives you they'll tell you, right? And then it goes to the lettuce or the veggies. Hey, we don't have this type of lettuce, or we don't have this type of veggies. Okay, fine. All right, let's say that we do want everything, right? So we go to the bread section, we get the bread. We go to the cheese, we want, I don't know, pepper jack. The handler has to look for that pepper jack to see if it's available or not, right? If it is, then it's going to give it back. If it's not, then it's going to tell us. That's basically it. But since the first person opted out, it didn't even check if they had it or not. It just went straight to the meat section. And that's what they're trying to say here. It's going to be better explained once we start doing this. So let's look at this code that I gave you guys. So I have a store class, and then the client file, or the index.js, and then the inventory. So basically, we're trying to search for an item, and we're trying to see if the inventory, which is our database, has it. If it's in the floor, great. If it's in the back room, awesome. Local store or warehouse. Where exactly is this item at, right? And the store just handles it. It has a name, the inventory, and then it's trying to find it, right? So in index, we're passing in, I forgot to add right here, dot floor, because this is how most people would do it. We're passing in inventory.floor, which is this first set, okay? And we're trying to find if there's monitors. Obviously, there is monitors. If I run this right now, we get 2. But let's say that we want to go for something that only, I don't know, local store has, which is wires, right? Because floor doesn't have it, or the back room doesn't have wires, so we're going to grab it from the local store. Well, let's try to pass that in right now. Let's go on index. Put in wires, control save, and let's try to pass it. It's gonna get undefined. The reason why is because we're only passing in the dot floor. If we want to search for it, there's a ton of ways you could actually do this, right? You could actually do an if else statement, while loop. You could do a while loop as well. But we're gonna be doing the obviously the chain of responsibility design pattern, which is where instead of passing in just one instance of one data set, we're gonna pass a whole inventory inside of the store. Inventory, control save, and inside store we're gonna actually modify this so that way it could actually. This is where we're gonna set the chain of responsibility, and you'll see what I'm trying to talk about. So we're gonna create another class. Up here, we're going to require another class. Let's do that. Require. Control Z, require. Like that. And we're going to require a storage class. Just like so. And right here, we're going to do just like that. Okay. So, down below, we're going to set the storage classes, and we're going to set every data set into the storage class. What do I mean by that? Well, down here, let me see, where am I? The shop.store. Over here, we're going to set the name as a name, whatever the name is. What I mean by that is what store it came from, which is this. Okay. So we're going to create variables. So var floor is going to equal new storage. We're going to create a new instance of the storage class. Storage class, and we're going to set the name as store floor, and we're going to pass it in the inventory dot floor. And we're gonna do this 3 more times, so I'm just copy this, and instead of floor is going to be back room, and then what else do we have? Local store and warehouse. Okay, local store and warehouse. Control save this. So we're passing everything right now to this place, right? And this dot storage is not going to be inventory. This dot storage is going to equal floor, because we're going to start off with floor for right now, right? We want to start off at floor, on the floor. So this is where we're gonna start chaining the responsibility. If they don't find it in the floor, then we want it to look at the back room. If they don't find it there, local store. If they don't find it there, warehouse. And then if they don't find it, then we just don't carry the item, right? So this is where this is a crucial part of this whole thing. So we finally have all of our data sets right here, and this is where we're gonna start chaining them together. All right, so we're gonna do, if we don't find it, we're gonna set the first one they're gonna look at as a floor, and then if we don't find it, we want to do floor dot set next. We want to set the next to back room. Okay, just like that. And I'm gonna do it 2 more times, because if we don't find it in the back room, copy that, paste it right here. We're gonna go look at the local. We're gonna look at the local store, and if you don't find it in the local store, we're gonna look at the warehouse. Okay, this is literally it, and it's right here. We're gonna change this as well. And here we're gonna just return this dot storage dot find, and then we want to find the item name, and it's dot. So I am going to explain what's going on right here, because you do need to understand this before we move on. So in this store class, we're just setting all the data sets inside of here, meaning the data sets is, this is one, the floor is at one data set, the second is this data set, and data set, right? So we're setting all the data sets in store, and we're gonna chain. The store is gonna be responsible for chaining on and handling all this chains from wherever you want to look for, right? The storage, where we're gonna create the file in the moment, is gonna be responsible for actually looping through the data sets and finding the item that they want, and then returning it to the store, and the store returning it to the client file, which is this one. Okay, but this is the basics, right? You want to grab every data set and then chain them on right here. Start chaining them to see which one you want to look for next. So let's create a new file called storage.js, and this is where we're going to be creating our class. So class storage, and remember to export it, because I always do forget. Module.exports is going to equal storage. Okay. So for our constructor, oh, I did forget to do one thing. For our local store, you don't know, we want to, trying to be realistic as possible, we want to send in a number saying that how long is going to take to actually grab this item. Obviously for the floor and for the back, why am I stuttering so much? For the floor and the back room, it's going to take no time, right? It's going to take 0 days. Well, for local store, more than likely it's going to take 1 day, or one day. Okay, and for the warehouse, if they do get it from the warehouse, well, it's going to take, let's say 5 days. That's the only difference we're going to be making, okay? All right, for our constructor on this side, we are taking a name, inventory, and delivery. Remember this? The name, the inventory, and then the delivery time. So over here, we're going to create that right now. So we're going to have a name, inventory, and if they don't have anything, just to be safe, we're going to just pass in an empty array. And we have the delivery time. And we're going to set that as 0 just in case they didn't pass one in, because we didn't pass one in for floor and back room. And here, this .name, this is pretty much straightforward. I mean, the constructor anyway. This .name is going to equal name. This .inventory. Inventory is going to equal inventory. This delivery time is going to equal delivery time. And this .next, which we don't have right now, we're going to set that equal to null. This .next is actually the when we say set next, that's what it is right now, and we have it null as our first one. Obviously, is going to be null. Now down below, we do have some modules that we did incorporate into store. So we have the find and the set next, right? And we're going to create one new one as well. So the first one we're going to create is local storage, or look in local inventory. You could have named this whatever you want. Okay. We're going to pass in an item name, and I'll tell you why we have this right now. The next one we're going to be creating is set next. Set next has a storage. Don't worry, this will all make sense at the end. And then find. And we're going to find the item name. Oop, wrong thing. Okay. Let's first go for looking local storage or local inventory. This is where we're going to start looping through the inventory and trying to find the item that they set, right? So we're going to do a var index, and you could loop through it however you want. This part doesn't really matter. It's just how the reason why I create these videos to teach you how it actually works and not how to code, right? So we're going to loop through the inventory to see to look for the item name. So var index this dot inventory dot map. This is how I'm going to look through it, because I just want to grab the one that we're looking for. Item dot name dot index of item name. All right, and then we're gonna return this dot inventory, and then the index. Okay, so right now I'm just trying to find the item name, and if we have it or we don't have it, it's going to return the item, or it's going to return undefined. As you saw over here, if you don't have it, it's going to return undefined. If you do have it, it's going to return the actual data. All right, for the next next, if we don't have it, we do need to look into the next one. Right now we have it as null, and we're going to be setting this to the next. All right, so we're going to do this. Oops. This dot store next. Sorry. It's going to equal storage. Because remember, over here, like I said, it's key. Every time we put in next, we do send in the next storage where we want to look at, which is the next going to be the back room. If they don't find it in the floor, we call this method, and it's going to go. Did I say modules before? I think I did say modules. It's methods. We're going to call this method. It's going to set this dot next to the actual storage that we sent in, which is back room. Now the find, which is basically pretty simple. We want to call this method to see if we actually found it. So var found is going to equal look in inventory, or this dot look in inventory. Sorry about that. This is very important. And we're going to pass in the item name. Why is this so important? Well, that's because remember, everything is in an instance. So we're trying to, right now we're trying to find it in floor. So this is literally floor. All right. And then once it goes to the back room, when we hit this again, it's going to be the back room. Okay. This is why this is very important. Anyways. So we're going to do an if statement. If found. Remember, if it does return a data set, it's going to be equal true. If it's undefined, well, undefined is an iffy, so it's going to be no. It's going to be false. So if found, we're going to return an object. It doesn't really matter. We're going to say name. It's going to be found dot name. We're going to do how many do we have? So found dot qty. Oh boy. And then we're going to do location. Where did we actually find this location? This dot name. And we're going to do delivery time, which is going to be, I'm going to do an if statement for this one, if else statement, but I'm going to do an itinerary. So this. Oh my God, sorry about that. The delivery time. If this dot delivery time equals 0, then it's going to be set as now. If it's not, then we're going to actually grab it from the actual, whatever they set it as. So, oops. This dot delivery time. I'm going to put days or day and then parenthesis S. Okay. So we finished with the return. And then if the else, we need to do an if else statement. This dot next. Okay. Return. I am going to explain all this. Return this dot next dot find item name And then we're going to do a simple else. We're going to return a name. I'm going to do we do not carry this dot not this inventory name, since we already passed it in. Inventory name or item name. Control F. Okay, what's happening here? So we already know what's happening in the storage. We're just looping through the actual storage, the data set that they sent in. We're looping through that and seeing if they have it. The set next is literally going to set the next storage, if they don't have it, into the next storage that they sent in. The find. This is probably not the confusing, but you probably lost it right here. So we're going to see if we found the item. If it's found, then we're going to return the actual data that we got, right? If else, we do need to have an if else, because remember, we did tack in the set next, but it ends with warehouse. So if they don't have it in the warehouse, well, that's why we have this if else. If this dot next is chained onto it, then we're gonna just loop through this find again and then just go through it again. If it doesn't have a set next tacked onto it at the end, then we're going to just return we don't carry the item. Okay, so let's actually try to find it right now. Oops, local storage, backroom set next, local store. Oh, let me fix this right now in our store. That's because I misspelled it. Capital S. I'm just paste it like that. Control save. And did I miss something else? Item, see that? And storage. Where did I loop through that? Storage. Control save. Just simple mistakes. Okay, now we have it. Sorry about that, guys. All right, as you can see right here, wires. It did send it to the. It went on and then sent it to the store warehouse. Which, if you do look, store warehouse, it does have it. Or local store, which is store warehouse, has it. You can see it back here. Store warehouse. What did we send in? Wires. It should have gotten from local store. I'm gonna see what's going on. I do see the problem. I have capital S right here. Copy. This is why you try to be convenient. Do everything the same. And in store, I have lowercase s. So if I do capital S right there, now if I actually do it, it's down here. You see we get a different one, which is store, local store. Okay. Whew. Anyways, you can see that it's actually working. If we don't find it in the floor, then we go back to the back room. If we don't find it in the back room, we go to the local store. Let's try to find one in the actual. I'm gonna just get monitors. Copy. In index, I'm gonna search this, save it, run it. Don't know, it keeps on scrolling down, so it's down here. So we do get monitors. It's from store floor. Let's look one for in the warehouse, which the only one in the warehouse is microphone. Copy, paste, save, and we do have it. Microphone in the store warehouse is going to take 5 days. Awesome. But now, guys, you do understand how the chain of responsibility works in a code-based situation or solution. So next, we're going to go to the pros and cons and see where you would want to use this. So for the pros and cons, now I have to tell you that what we just did is a simplified version of the chain of responsibility pattern. It's very simplified. There are more complex versions of this, but I'm just giving you the basic ideas. And so with that said, these are the basic pros and cons, right? So the pros and cons. Pros. Oh, sorry about the color. I just liked how it looked. So sorry if you can't read it, but yeah, I just liked how it looked. So for the pros, you can control the order of request handling like we did. Remember, we wanted to go from floor to back room to local store and to the warehouse. That's the order that we wanted it, and we could control that. You can decouple classes that invoke operations from classes that perform operations. It's pretty self-explanatory. And you can introduce new handlers into the app without breaking the existing client code. Yeah, we can. We could just chain it on later on if we wanted to. The cons: some requests may end up unhandled. It depends on how you handle these kind of things. Like I said, there are more complicated versions of this pattern, and depending on how you handle it, it may end up not being able to handle it or not handling it. So just be wary of that. Moving on to the when should we use it, okay? So we should use it when your program is expected to process different kinds of requests in various ways, but the exact types of requests and their sequences are unknown beforehand. So the pattern lets you link several handlers into one chain, and upon receiving a request, ask each handler whether it can process it, right? This way all handlers get a chance to process the request. Use a pattern when it's essential to execute several handlers in a particular order. Since you can link the handlers in the chain in any order, all requests will get through the chain exactly as you planned. And then use the chain of responsibility pattern when the set of handlers and their order are supposed to change at runtime. If you provide setters for a reference field inside the handler class, you'll be able to insert, remove, or reorder handlers dynamically, which is a big plus. So that is it, guys. Thanks for watching. And I know it's been a while since I posted a video. I mean, yeah, well, yeah, it's been a while. And the reason why is because work, guys. I work. So I'm sorry about that. And I mean, work has been very, very stressful right now. And yeah, I was just playing catch up with all the things that I had to do. So sorry about that, guys. And honestly, guys, I am thinking about just releasing videos Mondays and Fridays, or Mondays and Thursdays. But I'm still thinking about it, because doing a video every single day is not going to be a workout, and I don't want to disappoint you guys, because I've been doing that. That's because I had a lot of free time. Now going back into work, and it's kind of sucks. So I can't do videos every single day, so I'm gonna have to cut it. So I'm gonna keep you informed on that, guys, and I am sorry for leaving this long time period without doing anything. But thank you guys so much for watching, and leave a comment down below where would you use this design pattern. Like this video if you did like it, dislike it if you didn't like it, and if you haven't, please consider subscribing. Thank you guys so much.